From losing in the second round of the Australian Open to falling out of the top 10 in the world rankings, Rafael Nadal has not had a good time in the last few months. And if things don't get better soon, it might be the end of the Spanish player's career. I mean, he's getting close to 37, and at that age, you never know what's going to happen. He's been hurt for a while, and it's only going to get worse as he gets older.
He stopped running there. Yeah, this is very concerning. And this looks to be almost a...
For example, he played in the 2023 Australian Open, but he went into the event after a year of suffering from various injuries. He might have won the French Open, but what else? He didn't have a lot going for him other than this. Still, based on his skills alone, you could have guessed that he would at least make it to the quarterfinals. Even though he was the top player in the event, he hurt himself again when he played Mackenzie McDonald, an opponent that was ranked 65th in the world. Now, Nadal, being the brave man that he is, still found a way to finish the match. He wasn't much of a threat though, because he couldn't move around much, and the Spaniard ended up losing in 3 straight sets. Oh, and did I mention? This was also his earliest exit from a major event, since he shocked everyone in the 2016 Australian Open where he first got rounded.
Been close to his best. And he's been given the runaround at times by McDonald.
Yes, that's right. He got hurt in the middle of the game, which honestly can happen to any player at any age. But for Rafa, this really felt like a turning point in his career, and in many ways, it was the start of the end. What made it even worse was that he was expected to be back from his injury in 6 to 8 weeks, just in time for Monte Carlo, and the competition had even told people on social media about his return. But what happened next was something almost everyone had been dreading the whole time. Rafa didn't get better at all after his accident. I know that sounds like I'm being way too dramatic, but think about this. When your injuries keep getting worse and take longer to heal than they used to, you know you're in trouble. And so many players have had the same thing happen to them over and over again, and their careers have come to an end. In fact, Nadal said in an interview that he felt mentally destroyed after getting hurt again at the Australian Open.
Because it's going against you, so it's one of the things that I tried to do all my life, that the body language helps me not go.
He also reported on his injury and posted a video of himself playing tennis on social media. And even though he could finally move properly, the situation wasn't great. He admits that he's not 20 anymore, so he's getting tired of not recovering as fast as he used to. Still, he promised to come back sooner rather than later. He said he'd try to be competitive at Roland Garros, and he's always been a fighter, so of course, he's going to say that. I'm sure he doesn't want to disappoint his fans, but the reality is often depressing, and he doesn't have as much reason to return as he used to. Because Rafael Nadal isn't in the top 10 of the world rankings for the first time in 18 years. Just give it a moment of thought. 18 years is a whole career. And the last time Rafa wasn't in the top 10 club, Candy Shop by 50 Cent was still the most popular song on Billboard. Now that the streak is over, unfortunately, the time has come when we can put the Spaniard on the list of time spent in the top 10. But guess what? In the ATP, he's still number 1 by a large margin.
Well, it's lovely to see Rafa end his stay in Italy with a big smile on his face. And all credit to him for sticking around.
He's been in the top 10 for more than 900 weeks. Jimmy Connors is in second place with 788 weeks, and Roger Federer is in third place with 734 weeks. This just goes to show how crazy this record is. I mean, for Nadal, this must have been the standard. He's probably so used to being in the top 10 that he doesn't even remember when he wasn't. And that, folks, makes his position even worse right now. But now he might be thinking if he's even good enough to keep going. Dropping out of the top 10 is a pretty big moment in his career, and he could take it as a sign that the end is near. Even if he gets better and comes back, we shouldn't expect much from him though. Why? Well, the Spaniard hasn't done too well in the last few months. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Nadal is done or anything like that. I mean, he did win 2 majors last year, which is a big deal for someone his age. On the flip side, the loss at the Australian Open was his 7th loss in 9 games. And it looks like he's finally reached a point in his career where he can either keep playing poor tennis or save face and give up. Yes, miracles do happen in sports, and we've seen players have late career resurgences. But Nadal's problem is that his body just won't work with him anymore. You can fix back pain and even get better from sprained ankles, but you can't fully recover from a hip injury at this age though. Just look at Andy Murray. A few years ago, that guy was a huge star. He made it to almost every final there was. But he hasn't been the same since he hurt his hip and had surgery to fix it. With all of this in mind, it's natural for fans to wonder what the future holds for the Spanish star. And well, in all of the interviews he's done since the Australian Open, he hasn't said when he'll come back. Nadal pulled out of all hard-court tournaments like the Indian Wells Open and the Miami Open, which obviously led to him dropping out of the top 10 men's tennis players in the world for the first time in almost 18 years. Everyone is wondering if he'll be back for the French Open, and things aren't going well. He also said recently that he won't be playing at the Monte Carlo Masters, which starts the clay court season. Considering that Andy Murray quit tennis because of a hip injury, I hope I'm truly wrong, but Australia might have been the last time we saw Nadal on the court. If he does come back, it's unlikely he'll be as good as he was before. But hey, fans just want to see him back. Whether he performs well or not is a discussion for some other time. Even so, there might be one thing he can still count on. That's his skill on clay courts. After all, Rafa's nickname isn't the King of Clay for nothing. Even though he's having all of these problems right now, there is no doubt that he'll be the favorite if he plays the French Open. Even Novak Djokovic said that Nadal would be the player to beat at the event. It's almost as if he gets some kind of special bonus when he steps on a clay court. But that Roland Garros trip could turn bad really fast, because if he loses there, his game is pretty much over. Just give it some thought. What's the point of going on if you can't progress along in your best tournament, the one you should win? In fact, Rafa's uncle Tony Nadal said in a recent interview that if Rafa doesn't play in France, there's a good chance he'll stop there. The fans can only hope for the best. And that's all you need to know about Rafael Nadal and the possible end of his career.